Next up, we've got Mark Rieth, owner of Atwater Brewery in Michigan. Hey, Mark. Thanks for joining me.
It's great to be here.
Great to see you, man.
How you been?
I've been well. It seems like you've got like 5 minutes for us.
No problem.
You got to run to the airport, don't you?
Yeah, it's all good though. Great 5 minutes.
Well, tell me a little bit about what's going on at Atwater.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's been it's our 21st year, so we're legal now, which is kind of cool. So it's been an interesting ride over the last few years. With many regional brewers are kind of experienced some headwinds, but what we were able to do is kind of do a nimble pivot, which I kind of talked about a couple of years ago, and we realigned, pulled out of some markets, and really focused on our core, which is the Midwest, and diving deeper in our home markets. And it's really worked well. So we're up over 20% this year in volume, which is great, with kind of a renewed focus on, like I said, on the Midwest and our home market.
So up 20%, what are you on pace to do?
We're going to do just shy of 40,000 barrels this year.
Oh,
so
wow.
we're pretty happy with that. We kind of had a more grandioser plan a few years back, and that's okay. You learn and you understand where you want to be, and it's not about being everywhere. It's about being where you're relevant and where the customers are seeking your products out, and that's not everywhere right now. And I think you see some of the national brands experiencing that.
So, what do you attribute that to? Is that the wholesaler change? Is that is a core brand taking off? What's sort of driving that growth?
Yeah, great question. I think that twofold. One, we did do a realignment and moved from a statewide distributor who did a really good job for us in the early years to the Miller Network in Michigan, in our home state. And that's such a huge part, obviously, of our overall growth. That transition, we're just completing the first year of that. And so now we're really starting to see some real positive growth. And Michigan is a huge chain state. So we have great relationships with the large chains. And so that's really, especially Southeast Michigan. It's not just Michigan as a whole. You kind of break it up. We have Bells and Founders in our state, and they're fairly large in the national scope as well, too.
Yeah, there are a couple of small breweries that I think I've heard of.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you mentioned to me earlier that you guys are refocusing on your core products. Tell me a little bit about that mission there.
Yeah, so I think that's really key for us is not looking at the next shiny nickel over in the corner and forgetting about what your core brands are, and that's what we've refocused this last year on. Is we have two main brands, our Dirty Blonde and then our Vanilla Java Porter, which encompass about 65% of our overall sales. So we've really refocused that. We've done a variant program on our Vanilla Java Porter, so we have 4 variations of that come out throughout the year. And that's really helped that brand out and brought that whole category up for us. So refocusing on the brands, but yet not losing sight of innovation has really been the balance for us for the last year.
Have those two brands sort of helped you differentiate yourself in Michigan? Because it doesn't seem, if we're talking about Bells and Founders, those aren't two core offerings I think that they really offer. Is that sort of a differentiation point for you?
Very much so, and I think that's part of your being relevant too. And the nice thing about us is having core items that are a differentiation. And Dirty Blonde it's the third best-selling craft beer in Southeast Michigan, so we're pretty proud of that. We've seen some great numbers with IRI, and I think that's really important for us. Once again, going back to concentrating on the core, but yet still experimenting and innovating, without losing your focus.
So you mentioned the focus on the core, but you guys are still doing some innovation. What sort of new products do you have coming out that you're working on?
Yeah, I think we're looking at the overall space. You hear a lot about it during the conference here, and the whole cannabis scenario is really interesting for Michigan because it got passed in a couple weeks back for recreational in Michigan. So that's going to be a big factor for us moving forward. We're looking at that space, the hard seltzer, the NA beers, all those kinds of things we're looking at and experimenting on. We're not going to just dive into it. We're going to see what our distributors and our customers want. We might look at those particular areas. Really, the only new product we're coming out beer-wise this year is a Gosa. Pretty excited about it. So Life Gosa On is the name of it. So that'll be out in April. So that's kind of our one innovation product.
Have you had those conversations yet with the retailers and the wholesalers about those, other products that are sort of, tangentially related to beer?
Yes, we've had some, during our annual business plans over the last month, we have had some conversations, and it's really interesting right now. So we're taking heed of it. We don't want to just dive into it. It has to be something that's of a core competency and something that we believe in as a brewery.
Yeah.
We're always going to be a brewery first, even if we innovate and come out with other products. Once again, never losing focus of what your core is.
Well, I'm going to be super interested to see how that sort of plays out for you and what new products you're going to be offering in those spaces, and I guess when you go to innovation, will you test those through a tap room situation?
Absolutely. That's why we have 3 tap houses now, one in Grand Rapids, and then 2 in our main one in downtown, and then in a suburb of Grosse Pointe. So we have 3 opportunities with our consumer base, and we use that. And we're going to use that for that sole purpose here coming up in 2019.
Awesome. I know you've got a flight to catch. Thanks for hanging out with us, Mark. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, take care.
You too.